Free beer and hot wings in the morning. Grand Rapids rocks all day. 97.9 GRD rocks.
97.9 GRD rocks. It's the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show. Winter storm warning. It's coming. Mostly cloudy. Wintry mix changing to all snow. And a high of 36. It's about 33 now. Lauren Stanton is here from Channel 13, WZZM. Normally, this would be a cavalcade of jokes about how boy crazy she is and how she can't keep her hands off us.
Yeah, and what a relief it must be to be around such handsome men instead of those guys you work with in the morning.
Instead of all those fake dolls.
Radio faces are amazing.
Yeah, that's what we're known for.
I know, right? We are good looking for radio.
And I also have a friend of the show. Sandy is here. My son goes to preschool with her daughter, Eloise, who is hiding her eyes from me.
There's Eloise.
Like most adult women, she's afraid that she's going to turn to salt if she looks at me long enough.
Good call.
Yeah, it's true.
Her and my son are pals. She gave my son a hug when he came back after missing 2 weeks of school yesterday, and it warmed my heart.
That's very sweet.
So, yeah, that was pretty awesome.
That's so nice.
Try that again. Sandy, let me get your microphone.
You want me to switch mics?
No, try it again. Say hello.
Hello.
There we
That's
go.
it.
Now we're cooking. So I sent a note to Lauren a couple months ago. I've gotten to know Sandy a little bit as we've been at our with kids in the same preschool class, and I realized that I knew her story and her family's story of what they went through without even knowing it was her. One of those things where my twins were born in early May, and then they lost their daughter Haddie in early June, right? Like it was about 10 days after my twins were born. And I remember reading that story with these two newborns. And first of all, I mean, I've said it before, but again, I can't imagine what you guys have gone through. And that's what the story is about tonight, is about how their family has taken something that is so difficult. And you're going to turn it in and continue to work to turn it into a positive. And that fills me with some sort of warmth that I can't describe.
Absolutely.
And so it's incredibly commendable, and you're going to do good for others that won't even understand why it happened. But so then it was every time I'd look at our boys, I would think about that, and you're so tired and it's so hard. And so you start to cut corners a little bit as far as safe sleep. And that's what this is all about tonight.
Right.
So I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry.
No.
But so I sent a note to Lauren and I said, look, we've known each other for 20 years, more than that at this point. It's not for me to tell you like a news story, but I felt weird writing you. But I think I even said, look, ignore this if you want, but this really touched me.
And it did the same thing for me, because obviously I have children too.
Right.
And, I went on and I read Sandy's blog about what happened to Haddie. And it touched me in a way that I just wanted to do the story. I didn't want anybody else to do the story because I wanted to be able to do it the right way. So I had an opportunity to sit down with you and talk to you about what happened, but also how we can prevent this from happening as far as creating a safe sleep environment, not only in our home, but anyone's home who watches our child, whether that's grandparents, babysitters, daycare providers, anyone who is watching our children, to create a safe sleep environment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think what people are worried about newborns. You're worried about those itty bitty babies, the infants when they first come home, and you worried about certain things. But Haddie was 9 months old when this happened.
Yes, I think that's the biggest misconception, is that safe sleep is just for the little bitty babies. And even when you have a baby in the hospital, they give you a sleep sack and they tell you about safe sleep. But I remember just looking at that sleep sack being great, something free, throw it in the pile.
Right.
And that was the last we used it.
Yeah.
So, Haddie's Calling is a nonprofit that we started in honor of my daughter, Haddie. And so our main mission is to reach those parents of older children and just to educate them that this is still a real possibility that this could happen. It happened to us. And we've been there. We've been parents of newborns, and we know how tiring it is to wake up every 2 hours. But I'd much rather wake up every 2 hours and never sleep than not have my child here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I was doing some of the research for the story that airs tonight at 6, I talked to Safe Kids Coalition, Greater Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And they were saying just in Kent County alone last year, 11 babies died
Wow.
from unsafe sleep incidents.
Yeah.
Whether that was sleeping with a parent and having a suffocation
Right.
issue, whether there was crib bumpers. You know how inside
Right.
cribs,
Yeah.
there's crib bumpers. They say get rid of those. Do not have those in your crib. Stuffed animals, blankets, a number of different ways. Being on a couch.
Yeah.
That's something because of the cushions. Any soft surface that a
Right.
baby can be on. And again, these were 9, 10, 11-month-old babies.
Where you think you're safe.
You think that the baby, if the baby can sit up or if the
Yeah,
baby
roll over,
can
you
roll
know.
over, use their hands, do anything like that, they should be okay. But they're saying no. We have to create a safe sleep environment, which means nothing in their sleep area.
Yeah.
And there's so much talk about car seats, rightfully so. And again, this is a little different than what we normally talk about, but we both have young kids, and there's plenty of people listening that have children. And like you said, grandparents, like they don't know. Even just like, I'm sure all of our
yeah.
parents are like, well, what do you mean they sleep on their back?
No, they sleep on their front because that's what we did,
Right.
or because when we were kids, that's what they were told.
And that-
It's gone back and forth, which is the right way and all that.
Yeah.
And they show, when I went to Safe Kids Coalition, they show why on the back. And it really does have to do with the way, we're made.
Yeah,
it
right.
really needs to be on
Yeah.
their back when it comes to choking and that sort of thing.
Sure.
On your back is where it needs to be. So they say babies should be on their backs. And, like we said, nothing in the crib at
Yeah.
all. And it's not about, what if my baby's cold? Baby needs a blanket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Turn up the heat.
Yeah, put on warmer jammies.
Yeah.
They say that babies
you know.
are actually warmer than adults.
Right.
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
actually don't need as much as you think. So even just a
We can turn
onesie-
the space heater off in our room because I've been miserable for 9 months.
trying to keep them
so
incubated.
But
It's
they're
98 in here.
Yeah.
They're actually warmer than we
Yeah.
are. So if we go to bed with regular pajamas on, it's okay that babies go to bed with just a onesie on.
Right.
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 Yeah.
And the sleep sack, and that's part of what Haddie's Calling is doing, right, Sandy?
Yes. So we raise money to purchase sleep sacks and we donate them to families who need them. And that may be in the hospitals, pregnancy resource centers. We're going to be donating them to. We get our first order in next week. So I haven't made any donations
Sure.
yet because I don't
Okay.
have them.
I mean, you've just gotten the ball rolling.
Yeah, so this just started in December. So,
Yeah.
but we raised enough money to make our first order. So we ordered 264
Wow.
sleep sacks, and I'm supposed to get them this week. So we'll be donating them.
And donating those will also, sorry to jump in, but it'll also help with education because, like you said, a lot of people get it and then, okay,
Right.
So
So with that sleep sack, we're going to have Haddie's story attached with it, and I'm hoping that just that personal story will, reach parents and make them realize that this really does happen, and they really need to, take it seriously and do
Right.
it every single time. And that's the problem because, it just takes one time of not following a rule
Right.
to have something happen. And that's what happened to Haddie. It was just one time.
Right.
And I know you were talking about safe sleep environments inside their crib, but also outside of their crib because what happened with Haddie, the blanket that she suffocated on was outside of the crib, but just in her reach. So she had pulled that into the crib with her. So, that's also something to keep in mind as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's as a parent it's constantly terrified. Like putting for the dads or for the moms, it's very sexist of me to assume that the two women here never put together a crib. But putting those together, I know you've done it recently, Hot Wings, where you
Yeah.
start reading it and you're like, oh my God, there are so many warnings on this.
Right.
I'd be better off letting the kids sleep in a minefield.
Yeah.
Because everything about this crib, if I put one screw in wrong, but that's because there are so many different just to be aware of.
Right.
And
Right.
then all, like you said, the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So-
And I think, by you sharing your story, it really does hit home so people can go, oh, that one time.
I've had so many parents, even just this past week, contact me and say, as soon as I read your story, I ran up to my kid's room and pulled everything out of their crib.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And that's what we want. And that's how Haddie's honored, and her story can help reach other people.
Yeah,
So
I remember-
Even my wife and I went and after we got to know you a little bit and realized that and put two and two together and we read your blog, we immediately used that as a springboard for conversations with other people who would and to make sure we were doing it right. Not that we were perfect before that, but to say, hey, look, I need to say this out loud. You might
Right.
be doing just fine, but you got to hear this to
Right.
somebody who might come into our home or any
well,
in-laws
I'm
or whatever.
guilty.
Yeah.
I was guilty
Yeah.
of breaking those rules. I'm nursing up at night and I fall asleep with my baby. Like, I know that happens.
Right.
So I know how easy it is, but it's so easy. They say just something as little as a sheet of paper over a baby's face is enough to suffocate them.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And
the full story tonight, I mean, and more detail and how you can get involved will be on Channel 13 WZZM at 6 o'clock tonight.
That's right. That's right.
And you're not going to get bumped for Blizzardomania or something where
no,
you know,
it's
the weather
airing
team
tonight.
goes crazy.
It really is. It's a powerful story, and
is.
I hope everyone gets a chance to watch it tonight. And, you know, one of the things we were talking about is just, you know, like we said, talking to grandparents, because I remember my
Sure.
mom and dad saying, give that baby a blanket.
Right.
You know,
Right.
nothing against mom and
Right.
dad, but that's what, you know,
Yeah.
that's the way they were taught. So.
And it's sort of your instinct.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cold. Cover the baby up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be
So-
afraid to ask those questions, especially if your kids go to daycare or a babysitter. Ask where they're sleeping. Ask to see it.
Yeah.
The room where they're sleeping. So many times you hear these stories that there wasn't a pack and play for the kid to sleep in, so he slept in a bouncer seat or a car seat, and I mean, and that's how
A
babies
cot.
die. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
cots and blankets.
Sandy, if somebody wants to learn more about Haddie's Calling,
We
how
have
do
a
they do
website.
it? Okay.
Haddie'sCalling.com. We
easy
also
enough.
have a Facebook page, and my blog is on my website as well.
Very good.
Well, thank you guys
Great.
so much.
Well done
Oh,
to you.
our
I mean,
pleasure.
for turning something so horrible and hard to deal with into something positive. You're going to help people, and that's amazing. Lauren, thank you for doing the news story. I knew I could count on you, in spite of all the mean things you say about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He deserves them.
Let me. This is off topic. Have we gotten you guys in trouble recently with our visits with you and Aaron and Dan at 5:55? Has there been anything recently that might have been a problem? I can think of one thing that even as we were ending, I heard your producer, where we could hear it, say, "Well, that ought to get us some complaints and get the phones burning up."
Yeah, I
Letters.
remember
We
that
get
as well.
letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Does anything come to mind for you, or you're insulated from that, or just nothing?
Yeah.
happened?
You know,
Well,
crazy enough, I don't know. We come to expect certain things, and nothing. The things that make people mad always surprise us.
Yeah.
Us too.
Yeah, because
actually.
the things that we think,
I can tell you that.
we think are going to be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It goes over their head. I think
So,
sometimes.
so to
Yeah.
be clear, Joe talking about smelling fingers, okay.
No.
Calling Dowagiac a dump, not good.
Well,
Okay.
Just trying
one
to
of
get it
those
straight.
things is true. And so I guess when you talk about the truth, no big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
That's what
right.
people watch the
Yeah.
news for.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
all good so far.
Very good. Lauren,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy, thank you. Eloise,
you.
thank you.
Say thank you.
Just so you guys know, if Henry and Eloise get married, I'm very old-fashioned, so you'll be paying for the wedding. Just
Keep
want to
that
get it
in
out
mind,
there.
yeah.
And I don't plan to pay for his education, so that's going to be a very big saddling of student
Yeah.
loan debts.
Yeah.
Oh, I already told her to stay
Uphill
away from
battle.
Henry.
Yeah.
Good choice. That's all for today. Pearl Jam. 97.9 GRD Rocks.